And so then we recollect the noble aspirations to cause least harm, to contribute to the good, and then to do so not only for oneself, but for one's enemy. This is the noble path. And breathing those aspirations into your own heart space, letting it be imprinted and branded, become permanent. And then there is only one inquiry. How do I live that right now? On the cushion, at work, in relationship, and in the world. Beginning by igniting the heart of bodhicitta, all-seeing, embodied love and compassion. And we begin always the same by setting the aspiration, by recollecting the principles, the path, the practice, and committing oneself then wholeheartedly again and again. And then we begin with ourselves. We begin to invite in the resources to cultivate resilience so that we are prepared to wage peace. And so we recollect the good people, the good traditions, the good lineage, the good friends, the good coming from all directions. We begin by breathing it in and immersing our own heart minds in that truth. You would not be here to live and love without that truth. So whatever's broken, whatever's bad, whatever's lost, whatever's painful, this is bigger. And so we breathe it in, and on the out breath, as always, to begin, we simply spread it throughout our whole mind body. Breathe into the heart, make contact with that basic, essential, innate goodness. And on the out breath, we send it throughout the whole mind body. Touching every fingertip, every toe, every hair, every nail. Breathing it in and distributing it through every cell. Calling to mind those moments of kindness, those people of care, those who have offered us compassion, and the kindness and the care that we too have offered. And really calling these moments to mind. It's easy to forget. Each in-breath, water for the thirsty, food for the hungry, a resting place for the lost and us. This Bardo of death begins while we are alive and here now. The moment of recognition of the impermanence of all life, of the preciousness of all of life, begins here. And breathe in. This is the first form of waging peace, making sure that we are rested, that we are whole, that we remember our own goodness. Essential. And even as we undertake this basic practice, we can and often do notice resistance. A feeling of undeservedness, unworthiness, a recollection of a moment of greed, hatred, or delusion that blocks and stifles our innate goodness, and we buy into the story. And this is the beginning practice, is to recognize the story, to recognize a fleeting moment that we have made an identity, the self, the me. And we see if just for this one breath, we can create a little room or space for the reality. We open the windows of the heart a little. We crack the door and we breathe it in. A little goodness, a little kindness. And in that stuck moment, in that fixated moment of identity, we can continue by feeling for ourselves. We remember that others, just like me, feel this unworthiness, this undeservedness, this pain, this sadness too. And we open up right when otherwise we close down and we get bigger, holding now not only me, but you. And so we breathe in the good. And now in the out breath, instead of just thinking of ourselves, we include at least one other who knows this pain too. When we create that space, we imagine that embrace getting bigger and that the breath holds you both. We breathe into the truth of suffering, of aggression, of pain, and we breathe out the goodness. And we can picture that warm, glowing embrace. We can imagine a real hug. We can picture medicines and resources being breathed in and then being breathed in and out. And we can offer the phrases. May we both be happy. May we both be free from inner and outer harm. May we commit ourselves and all of our good fortune to waging peace. May we do so breath by breath and moment by moment until there is peace. We drop the weapons and we pick up our own goodness. And we sip on that soup till healed and whole, or whole enough, healed enough to share it. And then we invite others in one at a time, by group, however it can work for you. Beautiful beginning. Peace. Not sure if anyone heard the bell. I got knocked off because I ran out of battery and didn't have my charger plugged in. I'm waging peace right now with myself for not taking care of that before. Hopefully, you caught enough of the practice to understand the uh, reality that there is no peace beyond the breath we have. There is no peace beyond this moment. And all of what do we do later? I don't know. I don't know. I do know that what we can do now is this, and that we keep committing ourselves to it, even when there's no clarity about the rest. What do I do next week, next year, next? I don't know either. The beauty is, I don't think we have to be concerned about that, because I know that the peace now will lead to the peace now, and that peace can only grow, even when the answers are not simple. And that's why I love the poem. I think it's encouraging us to do exactly the good we can. And that's all. My meeting chat got unfortunately lost, but Greg had something to say. Carrie, could you read that in chat?
Diane, I'm not sure Carrie is on. I can read it.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
A story came out yesterday about the Bedouins that came to help the people who were injured in the kibbutz that was attacked. They brought in cars and people to help their neighbors. This is a reflection of peace and compassion.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And who they helped, is it relevant? No. No, it isn't. Is it? It doesn't matter. It's that they helped. They went that away, they went this away. The point being is that they helped. And then we climb right out of that duality, don't we? Who do you help? When do you help? What day do you help? How much do you help? Blah, 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 blah. And you spend a lot of time there, folks, and then you don't do anything. Because, like, is it enough? Maybe more. I don't know. A diaper counts. One pack of formula matters. One hand. It does. And who? Everybody, anybody, whoever's in front of you. That's who. And the Bedouins are a very non-partisan people. So how beautiful, because everybody knows that as well. So that's encouraging and supportive also. And so then where's your questions? As we are going to then look at this Bardo of death every moment. The recognition of the reality of death all the way to the time of death. The Bardo of death, which for me really is the Bardo of living. Right? What do I do right now? How do I wage peace right now? How do I live, love, care right now? Right? That's the Bardo of death. Interesting, right? Because what else would there be to do then? I'm going to die, you're going to die. Now what? Right? We live love, we live compassion, we live with kindness as best we can get it together. And the practice hopefully was your reminder that we can't get it together if we're not doing it for ourselves. It's just not possible. I love the idea that we can care more for others than ourselves. It's just not true. Because you run out, you get compassion fatigue, you burn out, you get cranky, you find an addiction to hold you up because you can't figure out how to keep going any other way. Right. A lot of potato chips when we really need a meal. That's the nature. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate your being here. So anything, what do you have to say, group? It's hard, isn't it? So what? What then? How do you live today? Every moment. Like how the monk said, is it every 15 minutes the bell? Like I think we need to set that up for ourselves because it's rare that you just catch it in the moment by itself. Right. Libby's saying she's recognizing that she needs a reminder, a kind of wake up bell of sorts that might actually be a bell. Maybe you put on your phone. In the Center for Executive Health, we made all the executives of Fortune 500 companies stop for a minute, an hour, and just breathe instead of being caught in the whirlwind of right thinking and activity and strategizing and because we knew that if they couldn't get that breath, that break, thirst and hunger and the becoming of it all takes over. And that's greed. And so, what about a bell? What about a token? What about carrying something that invites that reminder, remembering? And yes, we numb to that too, because I've carried hearts all day and forgot where they were. Just forgot. We're like, I know I had it. I don't have any idea where it went. With putting it down consciously and trying to pick it up consciously. And then remembering that this is just a part of our, not our true nature, but our being caught in a busyness, right? In a world that demands more and more and more and more, and does not invite on its own those moments. We have to find our way to them, is true. And it does require diligence, discipline, devotion. Yeah, commitment again and again. And if Renee were here, I don't think she's on today, she's traveling, she would say it requires for her a pause. Just to find a breath here and there, to remember, to really get awakened, to get back in the body, to climb in, just a couple breaths, resourcing in that very way. And then beginning again, over and over and over for lifetimes, as best we know. Greg says, bodhicitta, open heart, be here now, right view. How can I contribute to peace within myself this one breath? Right? Because remember, we can't talk about tomorrow because I don't know either. But how do you do it this one breath? Greg, how do you do it? This one.
I mean, the first part, I mean, I've got to be present. And I think the right view helps a lot, because I was really in touch during the retreat with some anger that I had. And asking the question, okay, is there a near friend of anger? Is there a way that anger could somehow contribute? I'm still asking that question.
Yes.
Not with righteous indignation, but that activates me somehow in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the near friend of anger actually is?
Well, that's a good question. No.
Yeah, it's energy.
Well, yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, it energizes, right.
Yeah, it's just energizing. You can use that energy for anything. You just got to put down the ill will, the righteousness.
Right. Keep the open heart.
The dual view, right, wrong, good, bad, me, you. And then the energy is simply energy. And now it has magically turned itself into compassion. Because what would you do with energy if you saw harm, if you saw pain, if you saw, what would you do? You would certainly respond with that energy. And we talk ourselves out of the energy, I think, often by going, well, it's not enough, or I don't have it, or it's not going to fix it, or right. And we back up like this, instead of just making soup. Right? Instead of just showing up at showers of blessings. You go, I don't know, one day? When? Really? I don't know. Is it going to help? Yeah, one hamburger helps. One oatmeal helps. One pair of shoes helps. One hat helps. One pair of gloves, one pair of socks helps. One can of beans helps. And we talk ourselves out of it every day, don't we? What's that? Unworthiness. That's the microaggression that gets in the way of peace. It's not enough. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. Who am I? And what if I give it away and then I don't have anything? Right? We buy into all of those old insufficiency beliefs, right? Paucity, bankruptcy of what? Heart mind. Heart mind. Because everybody's got stuff in their pantry that they don't even eat. Don't we? Every one of us. And it's sitting there, and you're going, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I never liked cornmeal. It's just sitting there. Right? What am I going to do with that? Well, give it to somebody. Make something. Give it away. All good. Dennis says, watching Ken Burns' Buffalo documentary last night really reminded me of how connected we really are to our peaceful nature, and still have buffaloes here and now because some caring souls saved calves. Yeah, one person created some space. That's exactly right. That's that one drop in the ocean ultimately changes the ocean. And even then, Renee is here. Hi, Renee. I'm here, back from all your travels. Thank you. So glad you're safe and well. The pause has saved me. Yes, Renee, you're my pause reminder from so much reactivity that would have caused others and myself more pain and harm, no doubt about it. And so this is the beginning of the cause least harm. You do nothing. You create space and stillness and silence. Because from there, right view, as Greg was talking about, the first principle, the first of the Noble Eightfold Path, if you can't see clearly, if your mind's all in the hop, in the jumping, in the gottas, in the can'ts, you can't do anything. That's a contribution. And you might kill yourself trying and still not accomplish anything. And what's that worth? I'm discovering my resourcefulness. Yes, we all can discover it. We all have it. It is innate to us, and we have to nurture it. That's what resourcing is. How do I get whole enough with myself, right? And I begin how? Setting the intention for that every day. Taking some moments to breathe in, to nurture myself every day, right? Finding ways to try to take care of myself and then others every day. And remember, we've now gotten clear that self and other are not separate. There is no real distinction. And so we don't have to go, well, did I give you enough or did I give me more? Or was it me today and then not so much you? Because really what we know is if I can offer that to myself, it will be available there and it is sustainable. And that's really good news. I'm getting a small mini cup sailboat. Very good. Congratulations, Dennis. Hopefully that will be nourishing enough that you can offer that to others as well. I know a whole bunch of veterans who would love a ride on a sailboat. So love to hear it and let me know when you're ready. I have a doctor appointment. Greg, goodbye. What else do we know? Let's go to the chapter since we're here at 8 o'clock. Let's see what Pema has to say about this. Remember, she is talking about this from a different language. She's talking about it from the language of the Bardos and certain tasks, I guess we could say, maybe, that are necessary at different stages. So here we are. The Bardo of death, remember, I'm calling the Bardo of living. So that we don't think, what's the point? I'm dying. The actual truth is, what's the point? I'm alive would be a better way to look at that. Let's see if I can pull this up. Here we go. Here's chapter 5, when the appearances of this life dissolve, the Bardo of dying. I'm calling it the Bardo of living. We don't distinguish those. And here's what she says. When the appearances of this life dissolve, may I with ease and great happiness let go of all attachments to this life as a son or daughter returning home. Now, how do we translate that into living? Right. Not worried about your can of beans and who's getting it and how it's going, because we trust that, again, in the offering, in the to oneself and then another, there will always be sufficiency because we do manage to find the way together. We have research on this from the concentration camps. Actually, what did we discover? We discovered that the people who gave away their bread lived longer. How is that? How is that? Doesn't mean they didn't take any. Yeah, they already were working from enoughness, from basic goodness. Their diet was more substantive than the bread. It was right, the heart. That's right. And they lived with gratitude. Right? Crazy. Like, how is that? Right? And so this is the returning home. And again, I don't want us to think of this in any way as a, well, at the time of death, I get that. No, you have to get it now. Right? There is no at the moment of death anything if you can't live it moment by moment and breath by breath. And that's the training, isn't it? The training is, how do I contribute from that place of innate goodness, of that place of complete sufficiency? How do I not get caught in that delusion of unworthiness? And we remember, as Libby said, we keep finding reminders, and we use everything then, including the plants, the animals, the friends, and the enemies. No, we go, no, we're not going to do it that way. No, not going to be a problem. And it doesn't mean that, right, we have to deny our perspectives, or it means we're not going to get into hostilities and aggressions with them. She goes on here to say, they refer to the process of dying, the period between when we know we are going to die and our last breath. That's why I call this the Bardo of living. We refer to this process. And I think that's now, right? We all know this impermanent, precious human life. It's already here. She goes through the elements. I'm not going to do that. We know that in the element understanding, we cultivate connection to everything, because everything is made up of exactly the same elements as we are. There is some exceptions, some people say, to consciousness. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think we're starting to figure out that trees are pretty conscious, and in fact, they may have it over us in a lot of essential ways, because like they help each other. When they see a tree growing over there that's not doing so well, the root goes there and resources that tree. We've got something to learn, don't we then, from those naturally evolving. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, which she refers to on a couple of occasions as the book of second chances, I would say the book of continuing chances. Just next moment, next moment, next moment, next moment. Even when I didn't get it right, I can see that that wasn't my greatest goodness. I can adjust accordingly. So it continues to evolve. If we think I've always got to be this, that's probably a problem. Why? Because goodness doesn't have one form. It doesn't always look like this at all. And if you freeze yourself there, you're going to get burnt out, in trouble pretty quick, and then fail. Right? You're destined for failure, because maybe goodness right now means resting back in my chair with my legs up and ice on my knee. Greatest goodness, so that I can get up the next day and do the good that I can do. Right? But we have to be willing to recognize that continual exchange, self and other in exchange. Good for me is good for you. Good for you is good for me. And that's the point, is we're all made up of these same essential ingredients. And when we get confused, we can begin there in that discussion. She goes on, I've got it all in blue here. I'm only going to read the first few phrases. It looks like it's on page 24 or so. First, the earth element dissolves into water. Water dissolves into fire. Fire dissolves into air. Air dissolves into space. Space dissolves into consciousness. We do know that this is kind of something we do observe in hospice, actually as a really occurring thing. And I love Trungpa's statement at the end. This is his definition of death. You breathe out and keep going. No more in-breath. That's pretty good. You breathe out and keep going. Space, space, spacious. You just keep going. And I love that because really then we can hold everything, not just the thing in front of us. At this point, ordinary sense perceptions cease. We see things from new eyes because the old eyes are no longer working. Everything that we thought of as self, me, mine is gone. The appearances, and I think that means the attachments, as Libby said, are no longer graspable and no longer limiting. And I think that's kind of amazing. No longer limiting. I don't even have to try to keep it anymore. I don't have wasted energy for that. Now I can simply allow the flow. Because nothing to hold up, nothing to sustain, nothing to have to look like, nothing. It's like, forget about it. The body's gone. I don't have to worry about it anymore. The closets are gone. I don't have to worry about cleaning them out. And so this is liberation, I would say. It is said that an internal process known as the inner dissolution continues. The final dissolution beyond the elements is the dissolution into consciousness. And that is something we're studying, of course, now. This possibility that is appearing maybe for the first time, that consciousness is not limited to the body, mind at all. Much larger, much greater capacity. And we are only now beginning to have that, what the Tibetans have been talking about for thousands of years, which is now being researched in near-death experiences and being resonant, which is the patient dying and then coming back to say, oh, I heard you. I heard you say it. I heard you. You were wearing a green shirt and I was over there. Consciousness abiding. And so we're starting to investigate some of that a little more energetically rather than just in form. The inner dissolution presents us with an incredible chance if we are prepared for it. It is said to happen in 3 stages. First, the light of the whole environment goes white. Now, again, lots of evidence for that being true, like a cloudless sky lit up by a full moon. Then we perceive a redness, like the sky at sunset. Finally, we perceive black, like a night sky, with no moon or stars. At this point, we fall into the blank state of consciousness, and dissolution is complete. Now, what that only means is that form, as we know it, is no longer holding us. We don't perceive that consciousness itself dies at all. The egoless me recovers consciousness, and the mind is experienced in a completely naked, unobstructed, we could say liberated way. This is sometimes referred to as the mind of clear light of death. I had this experience of my grandfather as he was dying. I had a sense of the momentary breathing struggle. He frowned a little. I was rubbing his brow, between the brow, and then I could tell that he stopped breathing, and then just luminous, just woof, like translucent, luminous. And I said, he is dead, but not like dead. It was the opposite. It was as liberated, as luminous as could possibly be. And it was very clear to me that only love was then abiding. Everything else was no big deal, no problem. Right? The mind of clear light, the one we're trying to cultivate now while we are alive. So we see things as possible, understand, let's see if I don't, this usually, oh, these are words for that state: wide open, unobstructed, unbiased, and infinite. This is that ineffable language, right? We're talking about that completely awakened, universal, absolute heart mind. Compared to the sky. And I love that metaphor because the sky holds everything, is limitless, has no boundary, continues to expand. It's not even a size, right, or a color, and holds what? Universes. It holds really everything. And I often call that sky-like quality of mind to mind, and breathe it in several times every day as a way of kind of clearing my own obstruction. The weather, as we might say, the dark clouds, the confused. She says, if we go up in an airplane, we see that the vast blue sky is always right here every day. And so can we when we get to right view. We don't see how our emotions and storylines have no real substance to them other than the fact that they are constructed by us over and over. No real truth to the emotions or the storyline beyond their construction. And she writes, they are ephemeral as mist. Isn't that great? Right? That's all. Can I see it merely as a phantom, a cloud, a vapor, rather than something about me? She talks about the gap, which is the Bardo itself. She says, look for the gaps in our dense, thought-filled life, and become familiar with these gaps. That's Renee's pause, as glimpses of the unfabricated, non-conceptual nature of mind. And so if you have a concept of a gap, you're going to have some trouble finding it because you have now filled it with ideas about where it is. It is merely the space within which everything is held. It doesn't have a quality other than the spaciousness of it. And so be watchful of what you think that should look like, because can't we find that space in the midst of 10 billion thoughts? Yes, you can. Because a thought is simply a momentary horizon. 10,000, yeah, space, all in space. And so it's not true that we can crowd ourselves so much that we can't find our way back. It does mean we have to rest back, and because otherwise we can be blinded, can't we, by the thoughts? And usually that means abandon them, abandon thought. Don't go, how do I get out of this? What do I need to do? Just step back, look at the sky, and let your mind take the shape of it. Once again, it will hold everything. there she goes. The chance to recognize this vast sky-like awareness as our own innate nature, and then let go and relax into that state like a child returning home to its mother. This is mother and child luminosity. Can we keep practicing? Rest back, right? When our impulse, right, is to do what? Press forward. Well, it's the opposite. Can we rest back into wakefulness? There's no pressing. It's not possible, is it? Into it. So that is chapter 5. Any questions about that? This resting back idea, the one we're going to practice this week, right when you can feel the forward pull, and you can feel it, by the way, because you're being pulled by the throat like that. Gotta get to the, gotta do, gotta make it happen, gotta, right? Up at the sky, whew, open up, breathe in the sky. Breathe in the sky. Somebody asked me once, what if the sky is cloudy? What's the answer? What if the sky is cloudy? It's just clouds, it's not the sky. You got mixed up. What's the sky hold? Everything. Cloudy, sunny, starry, dark, light. It's not the sky. Clouds are clouds, coming and going. I like to begin the morning. I'm going to set that as my practice. I would encourage you to find one for yourself where you get some access to the sky with some breaths. Take the snapshots, right? This is the truth of it. My own awakened heart mind is just like this, as boundless, as vast, as limitless, as empty, not meaning not substantial. It means it'll hold everything. There's room for it all. This fear, this confusion, this grief, this not knowing, always. There's always room and always room. And so get a picture of that sky in your mind. Make it something you can call back on if you're stuck in a building, if you're in the car and can't see up there, right? Recollect and remember, the truth of my own being is as vast. Can we offer that reminder? The truth of my own being is as vast as this. And if you have a comeback, I want to hear about it. Because you probably, well, I don't know, maybe not mine. Oh, no, I didn't do it yesterday. Yes, it is. Your true, most innate nature is actually that, always available, always now. It doesn't matter what the thought is. The thought is a thought, conditioned by our histories, by our karma, by our traditions and our lineage. It represents the fabric of all that form, but that's not our greatest being. It is, in fact, more like the sky. Any questions or comments about this? Find the sky, place the mind, take at least 10 to 20 breaths, breathe it in, remember it as the quality of your own heart mind, and then spend the whole rest of the day living it that big. What would that look like? If I knew I were that, how would I live? And then there would be nothing to do but wage love, peace, and compassion. And you couldn't find one more thing to do, whatever, however it looked. And Judith Hill gave us just infinite examples of small ways every day we could do exactly that for us and for others. So I don't see anything else. Thank you. We're going to sit for just a minute and do our dedication. And I can't picture a particular sky, maybe. I'm looking out at this one. It's beautifully foggy, and there's the trace of a palm tree fronds in it, sort of dancing in the breeze. But the sky is pristine clear, always. Warm, glowing light. Colorless, ageless, birthless, and deathless, ineffable, indescribable, imperturbable, unshakable, holds all things, rejects none. And so we breathe in, creating in our own heart minds that space, that room, and that love. May we dedicate the merits, the blessings, and the benefits of this practice today, and all practice coming from all traditions, all time, all people, all directions, to the end of suffering, the end of war, the end of violence, the end of self-hatred, self-loathing, and unworthiness. We give it all up to rest in that vast, wide, open space of the bodhicitta heart, filled with goodness. May we all have happiness, safety, ease, and freedom. May we use this very day to live, love, and awaken again and again. And now. And may this practice this very day contribute, and may it continue until all beings are safe. May there be peace. May we be peace. So be. A deep bow to each of you and your contribution to that peace today. I'm counting on you, and you can count on me. Good to see you all. I'll see you Thursday at 7 with Greg, and if not Thursday, Saturday in the garden. We will be talking about the great aspiration of peace and how to do that one step, one breath at a time. I'll look forward to seeing you all then.